to this week's Fireside Chat with Jesse. I'm joined today by Kayla Perlinger, VP of Syndications at Oakmont Capital Services. Thanks for joining me, Kayla.
Thank you, Jesse. It's great to be here.
No, it's great to have you on here and following the tradition that Darren Lisi set when I think he was like my fourth or fifth one of these. He was in your conference room at, well, your old
Yeah.
office before this new one, and he had this obnoxious fireplace. Actually, it was probably the size of that TV
Yep.
with a fire on it behind you. So I appreciate you keeping the OCS tradition alive from the Minnesota
Yes.
crew and have
I
little
had to
fire
one up
behind
him
you.
with a real fireplace and even decorated for Christmas. So keep it
Right?
up with
Come
my
on,
theme
Darren.
of always trying to one up him.
Come on, Darren. Get with the program, man.
No, it is great to be here. And I remember watching his, so it's cool to be a part of this too.
Hopefully, I've improved a little bit since then, but
They
there's
have
only
been
so
really
much.
fun to listen to and to
There's
watch.
only so much this is capable of doing. So
You do a great job.
thank you, Kayla. So for
Oh.
those people who haven't had the pleasure of meeting you yet, do you mind just kind of introducing yourself and career to date in equipment finance?
Yeah, absolutely. So for those that don't know me, I'm Kayla Perlinger. I'm currently at Oakmont Capital Services, but I've been in the industry close to about 13 years now. I started at Stearns Bank as a credit analyst. I moved into syndications there as well. I did a lot with actually data projects and then was more on the buy side of syndications, kind of reviewing the transactions. And then in 2018, I started at Oakmont Capital Services as syndication manager. I'm now vice president of syndications, and throughout my journey, I've also done a lot with operations, with data projects. So my title is syndications, but I've always kind of dabbled in a lot of different areas too.
Perfect. So from a syndications perspective, do you enjoy working with all the different partners
Yeah.
in the industry?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Where I know back at Stearns, we were more on the buy side, of course, so we had partners there, and then now it's more selling transactions. But what's really fun is, you get to work with so many different types of people. I work with a lot of banks because selling portfolios, typically to get the best rates, we typically do work more with those types of partners. But even the independents, you get to know, it's just a lot of fun because I get to work with numbers, but I also get to work with people, which are two of my most favorite things. So I love it.
That's awesome. And then going from a bank environment to an independent, like how's that transition been?
Yeah, that's a good question. So it's been good. So I do remember, going from a bank to an independent, it was certainly different at first, just because going from, not the largest bank, but a large enough bank where you do have a lot of structure to what you're doing, to then moving into an independent like Oakmont in 2018, it was different, where you still certainly had, processes and policies and all of those, items and lists, but it certainly wasn't quite as structured as a bank environment. However, as you grow, just like Oakmont is doing, we're kind of adjusting back to those ways. So, but what's good is we have a lot of people that were kind of lived in a bank environment for many, many years. So now we're kind of carving our way into that again. But we still have a lot of flexibility. It's just kind of, structured flexibility, which is good. But it's been a really fun
Sure,
journey. Yeah.
sure. We just battle off the red tape as long as we possibly can. Let's
Yes.
go.
That's
Right.
exactly right. It's good to have some boundaries, but it's just, when you have too many, it makes it a little tricky. So
Sure, sure, sure. No, absolutely. Do you mind just, oh, and then I guess the question I need to ask you is how did you stumble across Stearns? How did you
yeah.
get into equipment finance?
Yeah, so just like everyone, you kind of just stumble into it, right? Where I definitely wasn't born into it. So I graduated from St. Cloud State, which is local to Albany, Minnesota, which is where the Equipment Finance Division of Stearns Bank is located. And so I, was really just looking for a job. And at the time, it was either find something local or go somewhere near Minneapolis. And at the time, I was then dating my now husband, and I decided, I should probably stay more local to him. So I didn't go to Minneapolis, and I found a Stearns Bank, which was, again, it was a great ride. I was a credit analyst at the time, and my goal was really to just kind of dive in and to figure out what I wanted to do with my life and my career. I graduated with a degree in economics. So my goal was either to get into finance, something with business, just to really figure out what I want it to be, right? Which I think is where we all kind of start out, especially when you're not in a major where it's very specific. You just have to kind of go in and figure out, just navigate your own path. And Stearns was really great for that. There was tremendous people that allowed me to, get trained in different areas and to learn the industry. And I mean, I really look back and it's a crazy, awesome blessing that I stumbled in this industry, because I could have ended up anywhere really, and it would have been certainly different. I look back and I could hope that I would have ended up here, but it was just kind of a lucky thing to stumble into, which I know there's a lot of different ways that the industry is trying to navigate that a little bit differently, and allowing students to be able to find this industry easier, because I don't think people should have to just stumble into it. I think more people should know that it's here. I mean, it's just a tremendous opportunity for so many people. So we're kind of the lucky ones, but hopefully it's easier to find in the future. So.
Sure. I mean, I want to say this is episode, I think 215,
Yeah.
and 90% of the time, I'd say probably even
Mhm.
95% of the time, it's just circumstance. Just kind of
Yes.
fell
Yeah.
into it.
It will
And
be cool as we
uh,
go to these conferences, if we run into people where they find out about the industry, because, I know the ELFF does, I've, spoken at a college, or actually St. Cloud State, where I graduated from, about our industry. It'll be really cool to stumble into someone that they went into college and then found out about our industry, and then, really navigated their even degree based on the industry. That'll be a really cool conversation.
so did you do one of those campus to career presentations?
So yeah, so Mickey Hinkleman and myself went to St. Cloud State and discussed the
Okay.
industry, and it was I believe the course was something with finance, so it was certainly connected, and the students were very interested. And I remember the professor was very entertained and he was very pleased, because we were going there really just to educate them about the industry. Where oftentimes when they get those types of speakers, it's either really just hardcore recruiting, or they're just, trying to just get people in the door and to just churn. But we were really just going in there with, really with just the goal of educating for them, right? And just getting to know them and figuring out who they are and what they want, and just letting them know that we're here. And there's so many companies in Minnesota related to equipment finance, and even right in St. Cloud, there's multiple. And none of them really knew about the industry. Even the professors didn't know that we were really here. So I just think we have a lot more work to do to really get out there.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many aspects. I mean, typically, I mean, I've spoken at the ASU Thunderbird, like right here,
Sure.
like 3 or 4 times. And, someone was saying earlier on one of these where it's like, it just doesn't need to be the business school.
Yeah.
There's quite a few people in this industry that don't have a business degree, or more importantly, like an
True.
accounting degree. Like,
Yep.
and it's
Yeah.
this jobs basically for everyone.
Yeah,
Uh,
it would be interesting to kind of, if we're at a conference, to really get to know what everyone majored in. And one, did they go to college? Two, if they did, what did they major in? Because I bet it's such a diverse range of industry, or range of, whether anything from economics to business to, yeah, maybe it's something with philosophy, or who knows? I mean, I started out wanting to be a pharmacist, so you never know. Pharmacy, syndications, same thing, right?
pharmacy syndications. I watched Breaking Bad and wanted to be a pharmacist too, but then I decided it's probably not
Didn't
the
work
best
out.
investment.
This was the second best option.
Totally kidding, totally kidding. I know this is gonna be online.
Oh.
Joke, it's a joke, people.
You're gonna have to cut that
But
part.
nah, people be
Uh,
like, oh yeah, it makes sense.
yep, Jesse.
Do you mind just kind of introducing? I know I've had Joe and Darren on this, but do you mind just kind of talking about Oakmont Capital?
Yeah, absolutely. So Oakmont Capital, it's a small ticket equipment finance company. It's been around since 1998. It started with, Joe Leonard and Megan Zoba. And then it's, again, they primarily were a broker at the beginning. And then throughout the prior, probably the past 6+ years, we've been really working on building out our own balance sheet. We went from brokering almost every transaction to holding, a small number of deals on a warehouse line, to really just building up our balance sheet, which has been extremely exciting. So, I mean, even in the past 6+ years that I've been here, I mean, we've really have had such a tremendous growth, where, I mean, we went from funding less than 100 million to doing 419 million in 2022. So it's been a really cool ride.
Yeah, I can imagine. When you guys were transitioning away from the previous organization to this one
Mhm.
here, it's like, God, you know, we ever going to be of that potential size again?
Yeah.
And now, what, a
Yeah.
little over 5 years later, almost 6 years, it's
Hmm. Yeah, and it's gone faster than we anticipated. Where I know we all onboarded wanting to do very similar things. We want to do good business. We want to have relationships are huge for us. Whether it's working with manufacturers or vendors or direct customers or brokers. I mean, we really pride ourselves on having very strong relationships. So fortunately, we were able to kind of capture a lot of those relationships and build new relationships too, and change the relationship. So it's been a tremendous ride. So it's exciting. But I think for all of us, if you asked us, I think it actually grew faster than we anticipated. There's Simba, but it's been a really cool growth.
yeah. And then going from the former office with, I think you guys had like a house behind it where there was some people, and now you moved into your
Yes.
other space.
Yeah. Gosh, you have a good memory because I kind of blacked that out. But no, we had. So
Hey,
when we
hey,
started,
I
when
was
we
gonna
started,
say, when I've been to Albany, okay,
yes,
there's no offense, Albany
yes,
is Albany. It's like that one road that I'm used to, and I'm like,
yep,
okay, here we go. So I'm like,
yeah. You
I
can kind of
remember.
get a history of our group as you drive down the street too. So we started in 2018, at least our group, we started in the basement of a bank. So no windows. We always just kind of look back and we always say we started with no sunshine, but it was a great starting point, and they were tremendous to let us have, to allow us to be down there. And it was a great group of people. And then we, moved into our second building where we were, half of it was underground and half of it wasn't. So we made our way a little bit out, and now we are completely above ground. So a lot of windows. And so it's been an amazing journey. So we started with a team of 11 here in Minnesota. And I mean, it's just really cool to look back on, the growth and the journey that we've had. So,
Then what's the team up to now in Minnesota?
oh gosh, don't quote me on this, but I bet we're almost, I want to say around 50, but don't quote me on that. I feel like every time I check the number, I mean, we're growing so fast that yeah.
Nothing wrong with that, and don't worry, I'm
Yeah.
not going to hold you accountable for.
Yeah. That's the one question
Not my
where, yeah. I feel like that's
Oh
the
no,
one
go
question
ahead.
people ask me all the time. And I'm like, gosh, I feel like it changes every week just when you're in that growth mode. But it's all good. It's good to add to the team.
And then how often do you have to go to Pennsylvania?
So I haven't actually been there in quite some time. When I first started up at Oakmont, I used to go there at least once a year, maybe once, every quarter. Now, as we've been growing, we certainly send people out there. I haven't gone out there in a few years, but I certainly would love to head out there sometime soon. But as the team grows, we try and get additional people out there too. And we're certainly, always on Teams calls or Zoom calls or whatever may be together, communicating that way. But it's certainly nice to have people, a face-to-face visit too. So they come out to Minnesota as well. But we do try and get together in person as often as possible.
Sure, sure. And then with the J.A. Matsui acquisition, I
Hmm.
guess you have to throw your hand in there to go to Japan. I mean, what was
I'm all
amazing
for
is
it.
I think I've seen Darren just as many times in Japan as I have in the US this year, which is
You
kind of
know,
funny.
when I saw a picture of you and Darren and Joe in Japan together, I wasn't even surprised at that point. I mean, anything with you, Jesse, who knew?
Who
That
would
was
have thought?
actually, it was really cool. We heard such great things, and they love to get out there and get to know, Jave and Sui as well. And they had nothing but really good things to say too. So, but yeah, the picture of you, we laughed about
Crazy,
it, but we
crazy.
were not surprised at the same time.
It's more than a crazy coincidence.
Yeah,
It was crazy.
yeah, well, that's funny.
But well, thank you for talking about Oakmont there. I'm gonna pivot to something else. That's okay with you, and that is your face on the front side of this
Yeah,
magazine here.
at least it's a small
So,
picture.
I mean, I could put it right next
No, 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 no need, no need.
to you. Congratulations, Kayla. Well deserved. What did that getting that email or phone call feel like, um, to be number one nominated, let alone selected to be an icon of the equipment finance industry?
Yeah, no, it's certainly an honor, and there's so many people that could have received that same phone call or email. So I very much appreciated it, and it's nice to know the hard work kind of is continuing to pay off, but also I actually love reading everyone else's journey in that same magazine too, where I certainly definitely appreciate the recognition, and I think the funnest part about it was you get to tell your own story. And it allows you to just kind of take the time to look back on your own journey and to really kind of see and realize how far you've come, because we kind of move so fast in this industry, and until those moments happen and you get to tell your story, you kind of forget where you came from. Where I'm a very futuristic person, so my mind's always, even today I'm thinking about next week or 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road. But these moments, you're kind of forced to look back, and you can see just how far you've come, how far the organization that you're with has gone. And just to really reflect and look back is really cool.
No, it's fantastic, and congrats again, uh, on that. I just, looking at this list of people and the people that you're surrounded yourself with. I mean, that's phenomenal.
Yeah.
That's
And
great.
again, it's awesome to read their journeys too, where everyone has so many different stories, whether they've been with the same company for 30 plus years or whether they've hopped around. And it's cool too to read, some people that have started in one area and completely transitioned into another. And even really your story, Jesse, you have really transitioned your story as well. So it's just cool to see. And I think that's what's really neat about our industry is you're not really pigeonholed, where you can start in one area, but that doesn't mean you have to be there forever. And I think that's where a lot of people, some people realize it, but others, they just go in and day out, and they don't realize the opportunities that are out there, within their own company or beyond. There's just so much opportunity in our industry. So.
Absolutely. And a lot of it comes down to the organizations that you work with, and more importantly, the leadership at those organizations. If they
Yeah.
truly want you to flourish, or if they want you to, no, stay in your lane,
Yeah.
stay in your lane. It's like,
Yeah, and I think no, that's a great point too. And I know that was actually connected to a question I was asked. I forget which article it was for, but we were talking about just the organization you're at and different types of organizations you may be able to get associated with. But what people don't always realize is there's so much opportunity within your own organization, and people definitely need to take advantage of that, but also take advantage of the resources you have outside of the organization. And you also can't expect or anticipate someone to just kind of hold your hand throughout your journey too. So it's just not that everyone does that, but I don't know if people always realize that, you kind of have to take accountability for your own journey too. And if someone's not asking you to learn about something or not asking you to do something, I mean, I've been asked, but I feel like more times than not, I've done something and I just went to, whether it's Darren or someone in our organization, I just went to them and said, hey, I created this, or hey, I have this idea. What do you think? And those moments are probably more critical than anything else they ask me to do. Because if they always have to ask you to do something or ask you to think about something, it's just you kind of have to evolve and transition into someone that you're bringing ideas to the table, and that can take some time. But it's just that's something that I think people could use to really evolve themselves. So
nail on the head. I love that. Self
yeah.
accountability. I mean, who does that anymore, right?
Like, nah.
It's not my problem. It's not my problem. It's that person's problem. It's like, no, no, no.
Oh.
Come on. Come on.
Oh.
So equipment finance. So you've been in the industry for 13 years now. Um, do you remember your first conference that you went to? Was it EAEL? Because it wasn't, when NEPA was
It would
back
have
then, I guess.
been ELFA, I think it was ELFA funding conference, which is kind of a wild one to have as your first one. But it was a lot of fun. And I do remember it. I went with Darren, Mickey and myself. And it was, just the speed dating atmosphere where, it was company after company we spoke with. And I just remember there were so many new faces, and, Darren's so good with names. I always compliment him on it, where he of course knows everyone. And even if you meet someone in 2 seconds, he just knows them. But afterwards, I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to really study all these people. And it was just a lot. But then even back then, I remember walking into the reception hall, and as people talk about, back then it was a lot of males, not a lot of females.
90%, 90% blue suits, basically.
I,
Is that what
I
it was?
remember people taking pictures. I remember it was myself, Mickey, and Laverne, and we were all together, and people kept taking pictures of us. And I remember saying, why are these taking
Hey,
so many pictures? And
you got to put it in the magazine,
Laverne
man.
said something
It's
like,
diversity.
well, yeah, it's the diversity, exactly. So it was funny, but at the time it was definitely different. But the good thing about it was it means they were trying to recognize it. And, whether it's ELFA or NEPA or any association, I really do think they are doing a good job at recognizing that diversity kind of needs to grow. And I mean, they're, taking accountability for it and really expanding it. And I mean, from that day to today, it's completely different. But I think as time goes on too, it does take time. You can't just throw people into the mix that aren't prepared to do a role. So I am a strong believer in that too. So I want to earn my spot. I want to earn my role, just like all of us females do. So I think it's really, getting a lot better. But it's just a funny story at this point to look back on. Why are they taking pictures of me, and realizing it was because of that? So
Now, was that the funding conference where we went to Roca Core, or was
oh
that
my gosh, I
another?
bet that was. It may have been that one, or that may have been the year after, I forget, but I will
Uh,
always remember that meal.
okay, okay. Yeah, I mean, it's one of the good things. I mean, obviously, it's been a little big for a while, but I know how to pick good food places.
You are a foodie. I am not good at that, so I'm very much appreciated your expertise in that area.
I just remember that dinner. You're like, what am I going to be eating right now? I'm like, don't worry, don't worry. It's not
Yep.
going to be as bad as it sounds. And then there's some food that comes out, and I'm like, maybe not that one.
I
This
don't
one
know
here,
if I
yeah.
knew what everything was, but you certainly led the way, so I appreciated that.
It's fantastic. Another reason why, I love what I do, having a business development role for, I don't want to be, I'm old, Kayla. This is total 25 makes 20 years in this industry.
Wow. Yeah.
Luckily, I got in when I was 23, so
Yes,
like I'm not
right.
that old yet, but
It's
enough
it is
gray hair to be.
amazing how the good thing is you hear so many people in their years in the industry, but that means that people stay in this industry. So that is, it is cool.
But having a travel entertainment budget, being able to take people like yourself, Mickey, and I think it was just you two ladies,
Yes, at
because
the time
Darren missed out, and I think we just sent him photos of the good meal that he missed.
we
I
did.
think Jim too, but whatever. I think they just scolded me, and they were like, "You better make sure they're." I'm like, "All right, calm down."
It was a lot of fun. No, we still have those pictures. So anytime we're in that area, Jesse, we're all on board.
Yeah.
So
Well, I mean, we got what, 4 months, 4 months, and we're back there.
that's right.
So we'll have to block
Yep.
out some time.
Yep.
Um, and then I guess from a industry relationships perspective, like what have they kind of meant to your career outside of just Oakmont,
Yeah.
Kayla?
So that's a really good question. I think it's, something that people don't always talk about, is just the relationships you gain just industry wide. And that's what's so cool about going to these conferences, and getting to know people like yourself and others. I mean, it's just there's so many good people in our industry. And I know people say that a lot, but I think they say it because it's true. Where I truly don't think all industries are like this, where we go to these conferences and we share information. And I truly believe that you can have two competitors in a room and they truly care about each other's business, which is the coolest thing to see. I mean, they can directly compete on one day, and then the second day, I truly don't think they'd want to see each other go out of business. So we all,
Well,
really care for each other. And I mean, even for my own career, I really appreciate so many different people outside of Oakmont. I mean, Randy is one of them that I always bring up too, where he's just been phenomenal to me. And just, there's so many people outside of your own organization that you can get to know and you can call and ask questions to. And they truly want to help you, whether it's operational, whether it's something about, your personal life, and, maybe it's something about work-life balance if that doesn't exist, but you can ask questions about it. But it's just really cool to get to know, we don't have work-life balance in this industry.
We always want to talk about it, right? Where it's like,
Yeah,
oh, because we actually bring that up at every one of our EF Cares events, where it's like, how do you handle that? And people are like, I
we don't.
don't.
I mean, everyone can say that they do, but I think it's just finding the right, I don't even know if balance is the right word, but maybe it is. I mean, just finding the right balance for yourself. It doesn't mean 50-50. It changes from day to day. Sometimes it's 90% personal life for me and 10% work. Sometimes it has to be 100% family, and sometimes it has to be 100% work, but whatever works for you. So that's me and my
We have a totally
soapbox.
separate, totally. No, I mean, that's a great soapbox to be on. Um, no, there's so many different ways we can take that, but
Yeah.
I, work-life balance, work-life
Yeah.
balance, fun, fun, fun. From a one thing I want to discuss is from a culture perspective at Oakmont. How do you guys, because I know the Minnesota group very well. I think
Mhm.
Stearns was like my fourth client I ever had. So that's how Darren and I think go back to like 2006.
Yeah.
So how does that culture between you guys and Pennsylvania, how do you guys keep that up? Because you guys are running towards two football teams that are probably going to end up playing each other in the playoffs. Um, Not that that
I mean,
matters in the culture.
I was wondering where you were going with the question. That's really funny.
I don't know. I don't know.
It depending on, the day, and when that game is, I guess it changes, but no, in all honesty, we make it a lot of fun actually, the weeks that we do play each other, and it's good, good, competition there. But yeah, no, the overall culture though in Minnesota, Pennsylvania, everything it's something we really pride ourselves on, is our culture, where we want to, work together and have fun. I know we always talk about, and Darren always mentions that how much he loves, hearing laughter in the office. And it is true, where if you walk in an office and people are genuinely laughing and having fun, I mean, that's an office you want to be in. If you walk in an office and people look terrified, well, you should probably maybe head out of there. But it is because people that have fun, they want to work hard too. So, I mean, there have been moments in my career at Oakmont where I'd log on to my laptop until midnight. But you know what? I was doing it because I loved Oakmont and I loved the people I was working with. And it was actually fun, where if it wasn't fun, it's hard to get people to do that for so long, unless, you can pay them all the money in the world. But if they're not having any fun, I don't know how
Yeah,
long they're actually going to stay. So it's just kind
I,
of bringing the joy and bringing the fun to work. So
I like that. I like that. Oakmont, bringing the fun.
bringing the fun. That's a good slogan.
Here, here is going to be like, Jesse, just
We'll
stop.
change it.
Just stop.
Bringing the fun.
So, Kayla, I ask everyone who comes on the program to give me a little fun fact about themselves. So, what makes Kayla tick outside of finance?
Yeah, no, it's a good question, and it's funny because it ties into just everything. I'm going to give you two things. One, because it sounds like it would be all work, but it truly isn't. It's me as a person, learning and data, and I'm saying that as in all, in
Yeah,
all being genuine, is I truly love to self development, whether it's at work and in person. But that's all areas of my life, whether it's, learning something new at Oakmont, or learning something new about being a better parent, whether it's about being just a better human being, whether it's, figuring out what foods I shouldn't eat. I'm a sugar addict, so I can learn about it, but I don't do it. But whether it's, it's just really anything in life, it's just self-development is so huge for me. But in all honesty, I have a lot to work on. I think everyone does. But it's just, I'm a self-development junkie 100%. And I think a lot of people do know that about me, but some people might not. And I love to be, we have 10 acres out here connected to some land. I love to be walking in the middle of the woods by myself, and that's where I get probably my best thoughts. And so I did that. I actually do that even in the winters. I'll just walk out on our paths and just kind of think and explore my mind. So
So how do you, couple questions I have on that. First of all, those are awesome. I didn't know that about you, so
yeah,
I'm sorry. But how do you get those thoughts to paper before you forget them? Because I walk every morning at 5:30, and it's a
yeah,
30 to 32-minute walk.
yeah.
Sometimes I listen to, um, self-development,
Hmm.
different books here and there. Um, or it's other times I just like you. It's like this is my
Yeah.
thought time. And then
Yeah.
I
No,
get home
it's
and
a
I'm like,
good, it's
get
a
home, I'm
very
like,
good
crap.
question.
I didn't
Yeah.
understand that. Where'd it go?
Yeah, no, it is so true because if you don't write it down right away, it can escape and it can escape one forever, or it can escape for a very long time. If I am in the middle of the woods or wherever, and I always have my phone on me. So if it is one that I absolutely am certain I will not remember unless I type it right then and there. It's kind of hard with gloves on in the middle of the winter, but I will take them off, my hands hurting. And I actually, some people use the notes app. Oh gosh, if anyone found the text I make to myself. I literally have text to myself over and over and over. And that's what I do throughout the day. I think some people do that. Some people are, more organized, but I just have a text to myself to remember something. And I go on that every single night. And then if it's something I truly want and need to do or remember, then I transition it into, another area where I have different types of thoughts. So it
Hmm.
starts really messy and then it gets organized if it's worth, the development.
So I had to ask the question because it's one of the challenges I run into is
Yeah.
besides whatever minute of that 32-minute walk I'm on,
Yeah.
then I come home and it's like, there's Rory, there's Jeremy. They have a question.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh,
I know. And it's
there's
amazing how
Dave.
fast those thoughts can really escape. And you'll never, because sometimes even as I go back on my own text, I realize I would never have remembered that. So it just makes you wonder how many other thoughts did I have that I didn't, jot down and they're gone. They're gone forever. Maybe that's for the best sometimes. I
That
don't
that means pretty smart. I like him. This guy, I don't
know.
know. I don't know.
Oh, that's so funny. I love it.
That's awesome. But thank you for sharing. And I guess my closing question I have for you is, why should someone want to do business with Kayla and Oakmont?
Yeah, it's a really good question. So at Oakmont, we kind of always say again is we really pride ourselves on relationships, and I truly, truly mean that. Where we're not a one and done type, shop here. We truly want to work with people that we can do business with and really form a relationship, right? And I mean, there will be those times where it makes sense to have, a one and done type relationship. But for the most
Or
part, a lot of people say it, but it's true where it really is the people. We try and make everything as operationally efficient as possible. That's of course, true. I know here we always say high tech, high touch. That can be, quoted to Darren. But it's true where we truly want to provide people with the best experience possible, whether it's a customer, whether it's, a purchaser of portfolios. But we also really want that human touch too, because it's more important these days than really ever, because it's so easy to get kind of sucked into all the technology we have, but you really can, talk to someone and, put a, face to the, or a name to the face and all of that. We still, have someone answer the phones, and we don't want, an automated phone system that is just not allowing anyone, to talk to someone, right? Where we've all gone through it, some type of automated phone system where you can never talk to someone. We still pride ourselves on the customers, for example, being able to talk to a human being. Because I myself, I
it
can't
is
tell you how many times I've screened in the phone. I just want to talk to a human being.
it
And
is
then they still give you
amazing.
an automated system.
It's truly amazing how, I guess, kind of spoiled, or maybe I don't know if it's a laziness or not, but like I get frustrated when people text me. I'm like, just call me. Can we just knock
Yeah.
this out,
Yeah.
please? Just call.
Yeah.
Or I remember the tagline of your original organizations. Anytime I call.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's true where it's just sometimes you want to talk to a human being, but I bet
Can you
there's,
just
there's reason for technology too. And other times if you can get a quick answer with technology, I'm all on board, but you have to give people the option to talk to someone.
I just love it when it's like those automated systems and like, can you tell us what your problem is so we can get you to the right direction? And I just curse in the nastiest voice ever, just because
Yes,
I'm like, all right, let's see where you escalate this.
yes. Sometimes that's the only way you can get there. Oh, that's funny.
It's fantastic. All right, Kayla. Well, I really appreciate your time. Looking forward. I didn't make it up to your offices last year for ice fishing, but this year definitely. Be
Yeah,
coming.
I mean, we'll have plenty of ice. I'm looking at the lake outside, but there's gonna be ice out here pretty soon, so it'll be a good, safe time to come. Some years are a little sketchy, but this year will be good.
I think last year it froze just for that event. And
I think
not so
last year
much.
it did freeze just for that event. This year will be different though, so everyone come.
Awesome. Well, thanks again for your time. Happy holidays to you and the family. Thank you for sharing your story today, and excited for the future.
Yeah, thank you, Jesse.
All right. You have a good day, Kayla. Take care.
You too.